Hello and welcome to Beyond the Scale, Weight Loss and Wellness. I'm your host, Coach Monica. I'm joined today by Coach Darcy, and we are here to guide you through the ins and outs of a lifestyle that's transformed not just our lives, but the lives of countless women navigating the waves of perimenopause and menopause. Whether you're here to shed weight, understand your body better, or simply find a community that gets it, you're in the right place. So sit back and enjoy the next few minutes as we tackle the hot issues of today. Hey there, Coach Darcy. It is good to see you and hear you today. How are you doing?
It's good to see and hear you too. I'm doing great. I am just recouping from our weekend of amazingness.
I feel like we need a disclaimer to our audience.
Yes.
That we are kind of fired up.
We are.
And kind of passionate today, because I think it should be a requirement of all health coaching practices. Make sure you go and educate yourself once a year. And that's what we did. We educated ourselves this weekend, and it was fun.
Yeah. You know what it made me realize doing that was that we are just a part of this new empowerment system. And I'm thriving off of this because we all have had our own journey. We have all gotten there a different way, but we are all wanting the better for the other people that are struggling. Because as we were listening to on the all weekend at this low carb for better health conference that we went to, the stats are just sad.
Very.
The uprise in percentages of, I'm just reading some in-depth things about our kids and the negative way that they're going. Like, it's just a really sad.
It is. In the same breath, there's hope, because we were with our people, and we were with a room of doctors who have woken up and who have jumped off the medication bandwagon and are giving hope now. And they're empowering us health coaches because they can't do it all. They're giving the tools and the mantles to us to help come in and coach and help them do their job. And so it was a mixture, you're right, of despair and what's really, really happening out there versus, wow, there's hope. And so, it was intense, but I'm just now unpackaging it. And so I thought today we would unpackage one little portion of it. And then upcoming podcasts are going to unpackage just a little bit more and just a little bit more. We're going to be really, really careful not to throw up on you. And because there's a lot in our heads. You were just talking about that. There's a lot in your head.
There's a lot in my head.
And what did I tell you to do with all of that stuff?
We just have to use our magnifying glass.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't tell me that, but
I said throw it out.
Saying that.
Throw it out.
You said to throw it out, but I need to magnify into little pieces.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to zone in today on one particular topic, and we're going to give you resources of folks that we have found that are getting it. Doctors coming out of the closet per se.
Yes.
And so we're going to start by, I think, probably the foundation. We're going to get a little bit sciencey, but you and I don't like science because 10% of what we do with our clients is science.
Yes.
And 90% is the reality. So Coach Darcy and I take a different method when it comes to healing. We believe you have to know the science, and we believe the science is important, and we like it, but we also know how our clients work. We have 7 years of active coaching under our belt. And we know that if we gave our clients everything we learned this weekend, they would step out of the game and they would be like, give me a Twinkie, because I can't handle it all. And so we want to break down, and we may oversimplify things for our audience, but we do it intentionally, because if Darcy gave me everything that was in her head right now, I would be like,
you'd be crying.
Just get me out of here. So we're going to take a topic today, and we're going to break it down. We're going to share with you the importance of it. We're also going to share with you, and we're going to read a couple of excerpts from some of the doctors that we follow. And then the next upcoming podcast, we're going to break down even more, but we're going to go simple. And then we're going to bring it back to, okay, nice of you to tell me the science, but here's what happens at my practice. Here's what happens with clients that are sitting in front of me and how I adapt this to their lifestyle.
Can I just mention, backing up a little bit while you talked about the science and how that just some of our clients just get overwhelmed with that and the importance of knowing it. I think in my journey, and I believe that I can go back and say that the science kind of carried me through my journey, knowing that there was a factual reason why I was the way I was. That gave me a solid foundation of
you weren't broken.
I wasn't broken. My body was breaking down, but I can now fix it because I know the science behind it and why it works. It's not just, here's a pill. This is what the researchers say is the science behind it, and not real, and just trusting what the scientists are telling you to do. Like now we have educated ourselves enough to give us a solid foundation. Now, there is definitely still a stronghold on the emotional side of this journey. We have a lot of emotions, especially women. We have a lot of emotions, a lot of feels. So yeah, we stand by that, but knowing the science, that's what I mean. That gives us that clarity and that long term why
it's mandatory. It also gives us our marching orders to deal with those emotions and to deal with the doing the daily. When you understand the foundation, and you can't unsee the fact that when you put sugar and processed seed oils into your body, you're literally poisoning it, you're inflaming your body, you are causing the things that we're going to talk about today, then you're better apt to deal with those emotions and to push through, or to deal with the fact that you're dealing with a food addiction. One of the things I appreciated about it was Amanda Decker, who through the Low Carb for Better Health conference, she did a fantastic job.
She did.
In empowering us coaches to come home and sit with our clients. But one of the things that she did a wonderful job that not a lot of people do is she connected food addiction to the science and the fact that if you struggle with food addiction, your journey may just be a little bit different. You may not be able to do some of the things we say, or we have to adapt your lifestyle. And I appreciated the fact that she brought food addiction into the conversation, because a lot of people, if you have a food addiction, you've got a whole heck of a lot of job to do, when you want to fix your metabolic health. But let's talk a little bit this morning about what metabolic health is and why we talk about it in the first place. A lot of people come to us and say, hey, I just want to get into my wedding dress by September. And those stories are so sad to me, because until we realize what metabolic health is, we're not going to have a continuous journey. You're going to get to your goal. You'll get in that darn wedding dress. But the minute that wedding is over, you're going to be out of that wedding dress, and you're going to do what all of us do and get on the diet hamster wheel, and you're going to gain another 60 pounds, and you're going to lose another, 100, then you're going to gain 120. It's time to get off that cycle. And you get off that cycle by understanding what metabolic health is. And I'm going to take a lot of our stuff today from Dr. Philip Ovadia, and I hope I'm saying his name correctly, but he states it so wonderfully that sometimes you just got to read it from the book. And he wrote a book that is really kind of transforming my life, and you're reading a book that's transforming your life. And unfortunately, thank you, Tucker Carlson, but I'm unable to get the book Good Energy until September 18th. They just pushed it back.
This is why it's important to listen to people's podcasts, because you can see the up and come. I pre-ordered it before it even came out, because I listened to the podcast that she was on, and I was like, I need this book.
But here's where this benefits my lack of listening. Here's where this benefits our audience, because I have had time to read this book, and you've had time to read that book. When we put our heads together.
It's true. Geez.
Yeah. What is metabolic health? Metabolic health is how your body uses the food you put into it. It affects everything. If the body is not running on proper fuels, and I'm reading from the book Stay Off My Table, my operating table, by the way. The fact that we've become obese is a reflection of the other processes that accompany poor metabolic health. Inflammation that damages blood vessels, insulin resistance, building to the point of needing medication, and so on. In fact, we often identify poor metabolic health with insulin resistance because it's the easiest measurement of the body. But obesity, inflammation, and high blood pressure are all indicators, as well as a host of unseen damage taking place below the surface that doesn't become visible until people are on my operating table and it's too late. This doctor wrote this book because he lost a 39-year-old woman on his operating table that he could have saved had he had her 10 years earlier. It's a heartbreaking book, but it's also one that we've benefited from because now we have this doctor advocating for our health. And so metabolic health is the foundation of your entire body. If your metabolic health is off, this is where we bring in diseases like type 2 diabetes. This is where we bring in PCOS. This is where we bring in all of these things that we have all assumed, well, because that person is fat, that's why they have bad metabolic health. And that's not the case. You have bad metabolic health because of 5 reasons. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Really cool story. When I brought this topic up to Coach Darcy, actually, she was the one that I think we were in group, were we not in group?
Yes.
And you were like,
yeah.
Here are 5 ways to tell if you're metabolically healthy. And if you are not metabolically healthy, you probably have diabetes. And she was reading from her book.
Yeah,
and
it was.
Now I'm reading from my book, and it's the same exact thing. So
yeah.
We're going to talk about them.
It goes to show you that these doctors are on the same page.
They really are.
Really are. It's not misinformation that they're making up.
And by the way, if you have one of these doctors, please support them. Please
absolutely.
Be the wind behind their sails because they are in danger of losing their licenses because they want to unmedicate people, whereas most doctors want to medicate people. They're good doctors out there. We're finding them. You're finding them. And it's really, really important that you support them. So when we talk about metabolic health, we are talking about much more than weight. We're talking about much more than than cholesterol. Then we are talking about there's 5 markers where if you have 3 or more of these markers, you are metabolically unhealthy, headed towards type 2 diabetes, headed towards all of the diseases of civilization, as Dr. Berry calls it. So we want you to kind of go down through these. And if you have not had the blood test and the lab test to find out what your markers are, do it tomorrow. There are ways you can do it where you don't need a doctor's prescription. You don't need a doctor's order. You can go order these. I know LabCorp is one of them. And you can do these on your own and find out where exactly you are when it comes to these things. So I'm going to take the first one. Then Darcy wants you to take the second one. And we just want you to go down and check mark off. If you have 3 or more of these, you are metabolically unhealthy and you are headed down the wrong path very quickly. The first one is a waist circumference of over 35 inches for women and over 40 inches for men. And ladies and gentlemen, when you take these measurements, you want to take the measurements right above your belly button. I found out something very interesting. If you do this in the morning before you eat, it's about 2 inches. It's about 2 inches different. So check these. And Dr. Ovadia, it says that too, to check these things first thing when you get up. Check your inches. You can also, if you are half of your inches of height, if you are very short or tall, a more specific or an ideal number is for optimum metabolic health is less than half of your height. So Darcy, we heard that at the conference and we're like, is that centimeters? It's inches. Okay. So you can take that. And I did both calculations. I did my measurements and I did half of my height, and it's right on. It's right on there. So if your waist circumference is over 35 inches for women and over 40 inches for men, that is one of the markers. What's the second marker?
So the second marker is fasting blood glucose of 100 milligrams per deciliter or greater, or taking glucose lowering medications.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Fasting glucose. So,
Yes.
when you
What's it?
get your labs done, they want you to be in
Yeah.
a fasted state. Some of them are 12 hours. Um, Mine, the last one that I checked was the last one that I did. Mine was 74, and I had been fasting about 20 hours.
Do you know what's interesting? I remember, so I just got my blood work done for my insurance
Oh
company,
yeah.
and both the insurance company and the person or the company that comes to your house to draw your blood, they were both on different pages about how long one should fast.
Oh,
They're like, "Oh, you don't need to fast this, blah 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 this long." And then the insurance is like, "They're going to tell you that you don't need to fast this long, but we want you to fast this long." So it was just very curious.
it is
That was
interesting.
just like, sorry, I
My
don't. That was
guess,
just like a interesting, like, why would that be the
yeah,
case?
my tinfoil hat says it has to do with money and the
Maybe,
results.
maybe. I think that's the
Oh,
thing of a lot of things in the health department.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, what's
So
the
if
third
you have a
one?
waist circumference over 35 inches for women, over 40 inches for men, if you have fasting glucose of 100 milligrams per deciliter or greater, or if you're taking glucose lowering medications, check that one off. The third one is blood pressure higher than 130 over 85, or taking blood pressure lowering medication. So if you're on blood pressure lowering medication, you got to check that one off as
Mm.
well.
Hmm.
130 over 85.
Yeah.
That's a marker for
Wow.
that. Darce,
Yep.
what's the third one?
So the fourth one
Fourth one.
would be your HDL cholesterol less than 40 milligrams per deciliter for men or 50 milligrams per deciliter over, or for women. Sorry, not
Okay.
over women,
So
but
less
for
than 40.
women.
You want that to
Yes.
be up. You
Yes.
want that number to be high. That's your
Yeah.
that's what they've deemed good cholesterol. However,
Yes.
we're gonna debunk that one here in a few seconds. So yeah, HDL, less than 40 for men, less than 50 for women. If you have
That's
that,
interesting.
check it off, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or if you have triglycerides over 150 milligrams per deciliter. If your triglycerides are over 150, check that off. If
Yeah.
you have more than 3 of those checked off, you've got a problem. Houston, we have a problem. And you want to zone in on your health. Now, Darcy, I'm going to throw you a ball. I don't know if you're going to catch it or not.
I'm
What
not
is not
sure.
on here? What is not on here that everybody freaks out about and
Oh.
says, my gosh, I'm dying? What is not on a metabolic marker here?
That's would be your LDL, right? Am I
Ab-
guessing right?
yeah. You get
That's
really nervous when I do that.
well, sometimes because I had another thought of like I wanted to throw something else at our listeners, but I can still do that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that the LDL is
LDL is
something
not
that
on here.
many, many, many of our clients, when they go get their blood panels done for the first time after changing
Hmm.
their health style,
Yeah.
their doctors flip out on them when their LDL is marking high. Now,
And they
we
want to give them a statin.
and they went and get them on a statin, which is ridiculous because there's so many different types of LDL, but they're clumping it together
Hmm.
as a whole. And it's
Yeah.
not supposed to be as a whole.
Yeah.
So if you are eating the standard American diet, the improper human diet, then yeah, you might want to be concerned about your LDL. You might want to be concerned. But
Hmm.
if you have changed your lifestyle around and you're eating the proper human diet, and all of your other blood markers and your panels and all of those numbers are actually going in the right direction, then you may not need to
Hmm.
panic about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I want
and you
to,
can you can hold on. I mean, I'm going to put my little link in here of if you are wanting to know after hearing what these numbers are after reading these 5 points here. If you're wondering, okay, what do our numbers need to be then? Like what would be an optimal? Then I would get the book Common Sense Labs
hmm.
from Dr. Barry and Kim Howerton, and it will give you everything you need to know.
Right. Yeah.
That's my
And
plug.
then, absolutely. And
Yeah.
then, and what we found at this conference, because those two authors were right there in front of us answering questions from the audience, and people had some high numbers
Yeah,
when
they
they would
did.
stand up. They had some high numbers. A lot of people say, well, I changed my health style and it's not working. It's not working. Oh, and I'll ask them, well, how long have you done it? Oh, well, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Y'all, you need to have a consistent pattern of changing your lifestyle for over 90 days before you panic about these numbers. You need to consistency. And another woman got up at the conference and said, well, my numbers are really, really high and I'm not consistent. Well, the conversation is over at that point.
Yeah.
Dr. Berry shut that conversation nicely down.
Yes.
I think Ken was up there with them too. Cut that. You can't do anything until you're consistent.
Yeah.
If you have cheat days, throw away your trial. Throw away your obviously a little bit is better than none. Okay. But seriously, if you have cheat days and you're trying to reverse these numbers, that is the target that you need to be shooting for. You don't need to be shooting for a number on the scale, y'all. You need to be shooting for these 5 things on this list, because there could be a skinny person who has failed 4 of these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she or he has failed everything but the waist circumference thing. She is just as in danger as somebody who is 350 pounds and passes these except for the waist circumference. So weight does not necessarily have to do with, are you metabolically healthy or not?
Yeah. But then on the next page of this book, it also talks about, because you were saying if you have 3 of those, then yeah, you have a red flag there.
Right.
But he says on the next page, if even having 1 or 2 of these criteria is a warning sign of having poor metabolic health. So your body tells you a whole bunch of things.
Yes.
And if you're ignoring it and you keep pushing aside, just like fatigue, just like, just some simple things like acne on your face, you keep pushing it off and you just can't fix it. And then things start to build up. Like that's when you've ignored the red flag long enough that now you do have that red flag.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Dr. Ovadia says, I commonly operate on people who are not obese, but that is rare. But it is rare that I operate on a metabolically healthy person. That's big.
What is it that they would typically have then, Monica? Like, what if you're saying that they're not obese, but what would that be? What's the word for that? I'm throwing you a
skinny fat. Skinny fat person.
No. What would they have? Like, what would be the problem? What could they possibly be struggling with?
Diabetes, PCOS. You don't have to be non-fatty liver disease.
Yes, that's the one I was thinking.
Yeah. You could have a liver that looks like an alcoholic and be skinny. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So now the other side is true, is typically when you are obese, you do have all of these. And he states in this book, it's very rare that obesity is not part of the problem. And so that's an outward reflection of what's happening on the inside. And so one of the things I want to read from here, a lot of people freak out over cholesterol. They are stuck on this because doctors, who want to pass out drugs, drug dealers, I call them, want to hand you and put you over onto a statin. People have freaked this country out over cholesterol. And I'm going to, again, read from the book, stay off my operating table. He says, sure, cholesterol plays a part in heart disease, but it is not a single cause, not the single cause that we've been led to believe. Based on my experience, HDL and triglycerides are more predictive of heart disease than LDL. That's not what we're told in the doctor's office. They freak out about the LDL. We only focus on the LDL because that's the cholesterol physicians can easily manipulate with medications. In fact, research indicates that in the setting of good metabolic health, the higher the HDL, the longer you can expect to live. When I teach my patients about cholesterol, they're shocked. If you are ready to be shocked here too, here's how it really works. And this I have underlined and highlighted. Once you have poor metabolic health, your blood vessels become inflamed. The body then sends cholesterol as a repair mechanism to try to fix that inflammation. Imagine repairing an old crumbling wall with some spackle. Cholesterol is the spackle your body smears on your blood vessels to keep them intact. And if the wall keeps getting damaged and you keep piling on the spackle, eventually you'll begin to block up the blood vessel. But the problem isn't cholesterol. It's the inflamed blood vessels and the damage being done that necessitates the cholesterol. What causes inflamed blood vessels? Sugar, seed oil, the things that we put in our bodies every day. That is what causes inflammation. It is not the fat. It is not the protein that we're eating. It's the sugar. And so we're blaming cholesterol on the wrong things. And then we're trying to fix the wrong things. It's just maddening. But once you see this stuff, you can't unsee it. You can't. I'm going to put the link in the show notes to this book. Because it's a very, very simple read. I need simple in my life right now. And it's a very simple read.
Right. Yeah.
So,
it's really, I was just telling you with the cholesterol thing, we don't advocate for men very often because we're not a man and we can't really relate with them. But just when they get to it, and they tried this with Mark with high blood pressure medication, he was only like 25. Like his blood pressure was a little high. They didn't tell him to fix his whatever he's eating, but they put him on this medication. He wasn't on it very long because he didn't feel great. The second thing that they do to these men is they test that LDL and their HDL, and they're like, oh, your cholesterol is too high. So then they put them on this high cholesterol medication. This high cholesterol medication then affects their hormones in so many negative ways that now, like, they wonder why they have to then go to that blue pill because they can't, those hormones aren't working right. So it's depleting their their sex hormones in such a negative way. Yet it's so fixable. Like the cholesterol, our body makes cholesterol, right? And we need it.
We would die without it, right?
We would die without it.
We've demonized it.
Our brains need it.
Yeah. And people are truly flipped out about this. When you talk to our clients, sometimes they are truly freaked out when they get a high cholesterol level.
Yeah. And some go to then, like, they go back to their genetics, like, oh, well, genetically, like, because doctors want to know what your family history is. Do you have this, and this in your family history? If you do, then you are prone to all of it. And I believe that we are.
Yeah.
But it's whether or not we feed into it. When we feed into those negative genes that we have, that we could possibly have cancer, we could possibly have high cholesterol, heart disease, all those things. And we're giving our bodies all of the foods that it thrives off of. So yeah, we might be concerned, but if you're changing, like our clients change their health style for the better, and the doctor's still trying to persuade them to, oh, well, we still need to get you on stats. Like, this is still not good. You need to get off of this keto diet or this carnivore diet or even paleo. They want you off of this healthy food, these healthy food choices for some reason. And what other reason would that be?
Yeah.
Probably the money, right?
True. Well, I believe it is. And I know that there's some good-hearted doctors out there who physically can't get off the bandwagon with what they've been training in. Did you know these top medical schools are funded 80% by pharma? So of course they're going to be on that bandwagon. Of course they can't think for themselves because they've been funded. They've had 1 hour of nutrition training. And so I am so excited that more and more doctors are coming off of this. The problem is the insurance companies don't allow them to. Amanda Decker talked about her day. She's a nurse practitioner, and she talked about her day and what she has to do during her day. She says, we don't have time to research because we are doing paperwork and we are stuffing as many clients in, 3 minutes is tops. If you get a 15-minute visit from your physician, you have hit gold because they don't have time to deal with you because of insurance, so there's a lot that has to change. What the common denominator is of forcing change, because we can't these doctors can't get off of the circle. They can't hop off because they won't be paid. There's a lot of consequences. The only thing that will stop this cycle is you taking your health into your own hands and saying, I'm sorry, but I'm off of this wagon. I'm off of the medication train. I am taking my health into my own hands. Now, you have to be very, very careful on how you do that because you can be blacklisted. And so that was a whole nother session that we had with Dr. Barry on how to speak with your physician so you're not blacklisted.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's a whole nother podcast in general. But the only way you're going to get off the cycle is for you to take it back into your own hands and say, this is what I'm doing. This is, and empowering your head with knowledge so that you know how to do it safely. And then to get a coach to help you, because a lot of this, you're stuck in this cycle, but we have become so addicted to the American sad diet that to get off of this cycle and to get off of this vicious circle and this food pyramid, we are physically addicted to the foods now. And that's a whole nother ball game. And that's where Coach Darcy and I come in. We help walk you off of the vicious cycle that we have been put on, both chemically, financially, and physically. And so it is exciting to see what's happening in the medical world. It's exciting to see now on the political side of things that we do have a voice and that people are being advised to the real way. They're being advised on the fact that we're poisoning our society, that we are addicted to pharma. And I think pharma is going to meet their maker. I think they're going to meet their match.
I hope so.
Especially with the upcoming political cycle that we have here. We were really super excited. I was excited to be with my sister when the speech was happening of RFK, giving us a voice and the potential of knowing that the presidential candidates are actually listening to this.
It's funny actually listening to you in the car. I feel like it's been a while since I've been to church with you. But that's kind of how you were responding to here when you were listening to it. You were responding like "Amen" and just out loud. Like
it was a revival in the car.
Yeah, I haven't heard like that much vocal response from a message like that. That's great.
That is so funny. I love it.
Can I just share though, like in the book that I'm reading, the one that you don't have?
Yeah, I'll read it on September 18th.
Right. I'm going to kind of the numbers, the numbers that she's saying is that 74%, she's saying it's not normal for 74% of the country to be overweight or obese, or 50 million people to have autoimmune disease, or 25% of young adults to have fatty liver disease. This is not normal. So my question is like, why is it that we are not having more of a questions like, why doesn't this make us ask, why is that? Why doesn't it make us to ask, why is that? Why are those numbers so high? And then dive deeper into why is it that we keep getting thrown these stats? Why is it that we have so many unhealthy people here in America? With those 5 metabolically, what was it? The metabolic syndromes, all of those 5 things, like those are just 5 things. Like, why are we not asking more questions? And that,
I think it's because we've been so accustomed to trusting the doctors and taking a pill.
Right. But why are we even letting that? Like, why can't we be curious? Why can't we stand up for ourselves and be like, well, why is it that I have acne all over my face? And dive deeper into that. Or
we normally, as human beings, we naturally take the path of least resistance. People don't want to work for anything, and we become a country that has become lazy, and we're not curious anymore, or we're demonized when we are curious.
For me, those numbers scare me. When those numbers scare me, and knowing that, oh my goodness, I have no idea why, like those numbers should scare a lot more people, and it's not. So that's like, why is it that it seems like there's just a small portion, but it is. We have been brainwashed. We have been, but you definitely have to step outside of your box and start asking. That would be my encouragement for all of our listeners out there today is ask yourself, why is that?
Yeah.
Why is that the case that there's 74% of Americans obese or overweight? Why is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, that's true.
We're
Yeah,
not
it's
getting any better.
time to be
Yeah.
curious for sure. Well, we are so thankful that you tuned in today, and we want to encourage you. If you don't know your numbers, go get them.
Mm-hmm.
Go get them. We like to have our clients get a touch up every 3 months because as they change their lifestyle, those numbers change, and it's really encouraging when you see those things. To um, you know what to do. You're chasing the labs versus chasing a number on the scale. So we want to encourage you, go get those labs done. Go be bold, be curious, and ask your doctor, why can't I have these labs? You don't have to go through your doctor anymore. You can go to LabCorp. You can go through many, many different organizations now, companies now that you can request your own labs for very cheap. They're not a lot of money. I think a whole blood panel for even the thyroid stuff is $140.
Yeah.
You can do that. So we want to thank you for tuning in today. And if you have any questions, if you need help, if you need coaching, if you need guidance, please reach out to us, kmhealthcoaching.org. You can go find your coach. You can set up a free health consult with either Coach Darcy or myself, and we're happy to walk you through the first steps of your healing journey. So, any last words, Coach?
No, I think I said it all.
All right. All right. Well, we will see you next Tuesday morning. We release a brand new podcast every Tuesday, and we are live on our Facebook every Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We love it when you join us over there because we can talk to you live and we can get your feedback. We had more fun than was legal last Tuesday when
I
people
know.
got on and they were chatting, and we couldn't even keep up with the conversation. So come over there, give us a hard time.
Yes.
Join us every Tuesday morning. We will talk to you next week.
Yeah. Bye.